Okay, here we go with the second half of The Ghost in the Castle. And who is this? You guys remember who this is? This is the wizard Andre. And what's happened so far is that Clara and Lucas have heard strange noises in the castle. It sounds like it might be a ghost. And they see off into the distance a woman who looks like she might be a ghost, and then when they try to follow her, they always wind up coming upon this wizard named Andre, who seems impatient to get rid of them. So there's something weird about Andre. He's in the middle of this somehow. So we're up to chapter 6. They just overheard what happened to the last chapter. Remember, they were out practicing archery, and they overhear some of the guards talking about the fact that the guards have seen this ghost also. And so now they know something really is up. So they decided they're going to go investigate, and they're going to go to the royal library to read some books to see if they can learn something about this ghost. And what do you know? They get to the library, and what happens then? Okay, this is called Chapter 6, Ghost Rider. Lucas, Clara, and Ruskin pushed through the polished double doors to the royal library and screeched to a stop. Sitting at one of the tables was Andre. The wizard looked up from his book, surprised to see them. "What in Wrenly are you doing here?" Andre asked. "Wait, are you following me?" "No, we promised," said Lucas. The wizard stood and fumbled to collect the books he was reading. He stuffed some into his satchel and gathered a few in his arms, acting pretty suspicious. And there he is. See, he's taken all his books away. He doesn't want them to see what he's looking at. And it looks like he drops one. See that? It looks like he drops one. Ruskin notices that he drops one. I can see that from the picture. So what happens next? "If you need me, I'll be, well, far away from you two," Andre said, and he hurried past the children. He struggled to balance the books in his arms and didn't notice one slip to the floor. Lucas ran over and picked up the book. "Hey, Andre," he called helpfully. Hey, you dropped this." But Andre was already well down the hall. With a shrug, Lucas walked back over to Clara. "What book is it?" she asked. Lucas read the gold writing on the cover. "It's called The History of the Kingdom of Wrenly." There's the book. You see that? The History of the Kingdom of Wrenly. The children sat and studied the table of contents. They were chapters like the building of Wrenly Palace, the royal families of Wrenly, and the battles of Wrenly. It's a history. Okay, and they're looking at the book. This is what's in the book. And it shows a mermaid, and it shows a dragon, and a unicorn, and a griffin. That's like a tiger that has wings and a head like a bird. And a centaur, that's a horse, but it's got a man for the top. And a sea serpent. They're reading all about all the things that have happened in Wrenly. "This sounds like an interesting chapter," Lucas said. "The folklore of Wrenly." Folklore, that means like kind of the stories of Wrenly. People tell each other stories, and they may or may not be true, but it's part of the history that these stories have been told going way back into time. They flipped through the pages to find the chapter on folklore. There were stories of sea serpents, mermaids, unicorns, pegasi, griffins, basilisks, sirens, and more. But at the end of the list, someone had handwritten in one more creature. "Ghosts," they both said at the same time. At the end of the chapter, they found a handwritten entry. Okay, so this is what's written. See, this type of writing is called italics. See how the font is different than this? And it indicates this is somebody's writing. Okay, and it says, The Haunting of Wrenly Palace. It has been said that the ghost of a woman haunts the halls of Wrenly Palace. She can change form in an instant. One moment she seems solid and mortal, and the next she is nothing more than a glowing mist, able to pass through walls. In her presence, one might feel a striking drop in temperature. Sometimes her whispers and moans have been heard in the passageways. Then one day she disappeared and never returned. I'll bet. Clara pointed to the name under the story. Look who wrote this. Who's that? Look who wrote this. They're pointing to the book, and they see it looks like a fairy. Lucas read the author's name and frowned. It was Falsk, or Falsk, F-A-L-S-K. Remember Falsk? Falsk is the false fairy. Remember the story about Falsk is that she was a big jokester and always would tell untrue stories just to try to be funny. And then one day, people didn't believe her anymore, so she said she was going to reform and not do that anymore. But maybe these are false stories. We'll find out. It says, Falsk was a fairy, but she was known in Wrenly as the false fairy because she always stretched the truth too far. Even though Falsk helped Lucas and Clara on an adventure once, many of her stories had been proven to be lies. But this story is true, Clara reminded the prince. Everything in it has happened to us. So there they are. That's Clara and Lucas. They're in the library. They're reading the history of Wrenly, and they're talking about whether this handwritten notation by Falsk is true or not true. Lucas nodded, and it happened to the royal knights, too, because they overheard that when they were doing their archery practice. Then something new caught Clara's eyes. Someone had written a note in the margin of the book. It said, Tonight at midnight, West Turret, empty room. Lucas studied the words. I wonder when this was written. It says tonight at midnight, so they don't know when that was written. Maybe it was written the same day. We'll find out. The ink looks fresh, Clara said. It smears when I run my finger over it. Clara held up her ink-stained finger. It looks like we have a date in the West Turret at the stroke of midnight, Lucas said. Then he added, with a ghost. Chapter 7. Oh my gosh. The West Turret, midnight. There's the West Turret. This is a little map. That's what this, the beginning of chapter 7. That's where the West Turret is. That night, Lucas and Clara had a no sleepover. You girls know what a sleepover is? That's where you stay at somebody else's house overnight. But this was a no sleepover, meaning nobody slept. After dinner, they mapped the way to the West Turret. Then they laid out warm coats just in case of a sudden drop in temperature and gathered candles and candle holders. Lucas and Clara paced eagerly, waiting for midnight to arrive. The tower bells would mark the hour. That's the West Turret, so the bells will ring at midnight. At 1:45, they put on their coats, lit their candles, and tiptoed down the passageways that led to the West Turret. The only sound was the ticking of Ruskin's long claws on the stone floor. They stopped beside a heavy oak door at the bottom of the West Turret. There they go. There's the heavy oak door. They're just outside. Let's see what happens now. This is the wizard's chambers, Lucas whispered. Then they crept by the door and into the turret to climb up the winding stone staircase. The stairwell smelled dank and musty. Soon they came to another door. "Okay, now we're here," Lucas whispered. "Are you ready?" Clara nodded. Then the prince slowly pushed the iron handle. Sticking close together, the kids and Ruskin cautiously entered the moonlit room. The door swung shut behind them, and a resounding bam that boomed through the silent night. Oh, the door slams behind them. They're in there now. They can't get out. They froze, hearts racing as the flames of their candles flickered. After a moment, their fear lessened, allowing Lucas and Clara to get a better look at the room. So there they are. They're just inside the door that slammed behind them. Boy, Ruskin looks like he's a little bit afraid too, doesn't he? So they're looking around saying, uh-oh, what are we in for? Look at this interesting room. Look around. There's a mirror that's broken. There's a fireplace. The moonlight's coming in through the window. On one side stood a canopy bed. A canopy bed is a bed that has a top to it. Not too many canopy beds these days, but that's what a canopy bed is. I guess you probably have slept in canopy beds because you needed them for the mosquito netting that would hang down. But here in America, very unusual. On one side stood a canopy bed covered in dust and cobwebs. Near the foot of the bed was a stone fireplace. The crest of Wrenly with a garland on either side was carved into the face of the mantel. A wooden wardrobe stood next to the doorway, and beside it was a dressing table and a chair. On top of the dressing table lay a forgotten mirror and a fancy set of combs, all coated in a thick layer of dust. "Do you know who lived here?" whispered Clara. Lucas looked out of the only window. The moon danced on the waves of the sea. "I don't know," he whispered. "The only people who come up here now are the guards on their rounds." "Achoo!" Ruskin sneezed, startling the kids. The poor dragon had been sniffing the soot in the fireplace. A tapestry fluttered above the mantel. Lucas held his candle higher to get a better look at the tapestry. That's a tapestry. That means that's a cloth with a painting on it of some kind. Or sometimes the picture is woven into the cloth. It's called a tapestry. Okay, so there they are. They're looking at the fireplace. Ruskin sneezed because he was sniffing the ashes, and he sneezed. And Lucas is looking up. What does it look like? It looks like a couple of dragons with two heads fighting each other or something. Look at that. What do you think that is? Well, they're going to tell us. I'm not sure what that is. I see dragons. Yeah, one dragon and another dragon are fighting each other, I think. "This tapestry has fire-breathing dragons on it," he whispered. Clara studied the tapestry. These dragons are breathing green fire, not red. Suddenly, the tower bell rings like a warning from afar. It was midnight. Okay, the bell rings. That means it's midnight. Lucas and Clara looked at each other as the temperature dropped. What does that mean? The room became colder and colder with every chime. If the book was right, it could mean only one thing. The ghost had arrived. Ooh, there they are. Chapter 8. That's the Spirit. That's the name of the chapter. That's the Spirit. Okay. "Quick, hide," Lucas whispered. The kids blew out their candles and scrambled into the wardrobe. That's like a wooden piece of furniture that's hollow inside that you put clothes in. Ruskin hopped in too. Through the cracked open wardrobe door, they watched a foggy, glowing mist curl into the bedroom. The mist took the form of a woman. She was the exact woman the kids had seen in the kitchen. Both Lucas and Clara covered their mouths. The ghost drifted to the dressing table and ran her fingers over the combs and the mirror. Then she looked around, searching for something. The ghost turned her gaze toward the wardrobe. Her eyes stared right at the crack in the door. The kids held still and scarcely breathed. Then, whoosh, a strong gust of wind blew in through the fireplace, making the tapestry above the mantel flutter. There she is. That's the ghost. That's the ghost. This caught the ghost's attention. She studied the green, fire-breathing dragons on the tapestry and floated away in surprise. Without warning, her body melted back into the mist, and the ghost swished through the door and out of the room. So she studied the tapestry, and then she floated away in surprise. I wonder what she was surprised in with the tapestry and the green fire-breathing dragons. There she is. She's going out the door again. She's not hanging around. She was surprised by something. And there are Clara and Lucas and Ruskin coming out of the wardrobe. The children and Ruskin burst from the wardrobe and onto the floor. After her, Lucas said in a loud whisper. With only the moon to light their way, the children whirled down the spiral staircase. When they reached the bottom, the mist hung right in front of the wizard's chambers. Lucas motioned to the others, and the three of them dove back into the stairwell out of sight. They crouched in silence and listened. Wailed a voice. Andra! Oh, maybe she's saying Andre. This is Andra. Okay, so the ghost is calling out to Andre, it sounds like. Clara squeezed the prince's hand. It's the ghost. Then the haunted voice said a name, and it was a name both the kids knew. Andre. Chapter 9. Okay. Kindred spirits. Kindred spirits. Lucas peered around the corner and saw a flicker of light under the wizard's door. Who's there? Said a man's voice. It was Andre. The ghost wailed again. Andre! Andre! Mary, is that you? The door creaked open as the old wizard peered through the crack. Yes, Andre, Andre. So now we know what the ghost's name is, right? It's Mary. Mary, M-A-R-Y. Mary, is that you? Suddenly, a cold breeze shivered through the hall as the glowing mist slipped into the room through the crack in the door, which then slammed shut. Lucas turned to Clara. Andre knows the ghost. Clara's eyes were wide. And the ghost's name is Mary. Do you think Andre was the one who wrote those notes in the margin of the book? Yes, Lucas said, standing up. He must have been tracking the ghost all along. That's why we keep bumping into him in the passageway. There he is, Andre. Clara got up too, and she held Ruskin in place. The dragon was ready to chase the ghost. But why didn't Andre meet her in the turret at midnight, she asked. Lucas shrugged. Maybe she's not a nice, friendly ghost? Come on, let's go. The trio tiptoed over and pressed their ears against the door, listening to the voices inside the wizard's chambers. Mary, why did you come back to Wrenly Palace? They heard Andre ask. Is something the matter? The ghost moaned. Is something the matter? So they're talking. That's the picture. Andre says, is something the matter? The ghost moaned, I am not at peace. A dream told me to find something that was hidden in this castle. But when I awoke, I couldn't remember what it was. I traveled the halls, checked every room, and swept through every brick, stone, and tile, searching. Oh, something told her in a dream to get something in the castle, but she can't remember now what it was because it was in a dream. So there's a picture of Mary. She's floating around the castle looking. Andre was quiet for a moment, and then he spoke. Have you figured out what you're looking for now? The ghost paused. Yes, the children have what I need. Lucas and Clara grabbed a hold of each other. And what do you need from them? Andre asked. I need, the ghost said, the dragon. Oh, poor Ruskin. The ghost needs the dragon. Lucas had heard enough. He grabbed the door handle and barged into the room. Okay, Lucas is not going to let some ghost chase his dragon around. He's going to confront the ghost. No one is going to lay a finger on my dragon, he declared, especially not some haunted ghost. Okay, there we are. See, we're all in the room there. There's the ghost. Lucas is upset because now he knows that the ghost is after Ruskin. Maybe they can work something out here. Clara and Ruskin joined the prince, ready to battle. Then Andre leaped between Mary and the kids. Everyone settle down, he cried, and please let me explain. The room fell quiet. Then Andre began his story. When I was a younger wizard, I discovered Mary's ghost in the castle, and we became fast friends. Mary smiled. We are kindred spirits, she said. Kindred means friendly or similar to each other. So they're friendly with each other. They're kind to each other. We're kindred spirits, she said. Andre chuckled at her comment and continued. We spent many nights talking about all things real and imagined. We discovered that magic was where our two worlds were able to meet. But then, one day, Mary disappeared. I searched everywhere for her, but I never found her until now. I never found her until now. Let me adjust the camera a little bit here. There we go. Lucas looked at the wizard. Did you ever tell anyone about Mary? Andre nodded. Only one other, he said. Both Lucas and Clara looked at each other. So who do you think he told? I bet it was Faust. We'll see. Faust, they both said. Andre nodded again. Indeed, Faust's ghost story was true. Now Mary has returned and she needs our help. Mary held out her white hands in a welcoming way. I need a favor from your dragon. Rest assured, I mean no harm. Lucas studied the ghost. Her kind eyes and smile told him that she meant well. He turned to Ruskin. The dragon nodded in agreement. We stand here tonight, ready to help, Lucas said. There they are. There's Ruskin. There's Lucas. There's Mary the ghost. And Andre the wizard. Where's Clara? Clara must be out of the picture somewhere. Chapter 10. Okay, this is the last chapter, so this is going to be the big finish. R.I.P. R.I.P. Those are initials. That stands for rest in peace. That's normally something you say to someone who's died, rest in peace. Someone where their ghost might be floating around and you want their spirit to be able to rest instead of floating around looking for something like Mary is. Mary led the way back up the turret. When they reached the forgotten room, They stood before the fireplace and addressed Ruskin. Here's what I need, dear dragon, she said. It's something precious, and you must be willing to give it to me freely. Doesn't work if it's extorted from him. It has to be given freely. Ruskin tilted his head to one side, wondering what it could be. There they are, they're talking. It's a very friendly conversation. Then Mary kneeled down in front of him. What I need is some of your dragon breath. Dragon breath. Ruskin immediately blew a small ball of dragon fire and held it out for the ghost. Mary laughed as if Ruskin had performed a cute puppy trick. No, not your dragon fire, she said. Your dragon breath. Then Mary pointed to the green fire-breathing dragons in the tapestry above the mantel. I need some green dragon breath to light the fireplace, she explained. This is confusing. I need some green dragon breath to light the fireplace. How do you light the fireplace with your breath unless it's by fire? This time, Ruskin seemed to understand Mary's request. He stood in front of the fireplace and gently breathed on the hearth. That's where the wood is in the fireplace. Green sparks soon bloomed into a gentle green flame. As the green flame flickered, the room changed. What had been a dark and gloomy room became light, warm, and inviting. That happens sometimes. You light a fire and it just makes the whole room brighter and warmer. The canopy bed came to life with fresh linen. Oh, something magic is happening. The bed suddenly has fresh sheets on it. The curtains suddenly looked clean and crisp. The mirror and the combs on the dresser shone pearly white. And Mary no longer looked pale and ghostly. Now suddenly the room has turned all bright and clean and fresh. And the same thing with Mary. She no longer looks so pale. Mary smiled. Thank you. You have restored my soul. Wow, how about that? By lighting the fire with green dragon breath, it restored Mary's soul. And now she's going to lie down on the bed and her spirit can rest. She can remain among the dead. Then Mary laid on the bed and closed her eyes. And just as dew dries in the morning sun, Mary disappeared, and the gentle glow in the room faded. The true ghost of Wrenly would finally rest in peace. The end. Rest in peace. That was good. Her spirit was troubled, and they had to light the fire with green dragon breath in order to put her soul at peace. Okay, well, that is the end of the story of the Kingdom of Wrenly and the Ghost in the Castle. And hope you like that. I will get another book. I hope it works okay for you to read this on my Kindle. You see what this is? This is my Kindle. Maybe you can see it okay. I hope so. Anyway, I'll talk to you next time, girl. Bye-bye.